But not everything moved smoothly on the international front, especially with Canada. There was quite a ruckus after Justin Trudeau walked into the Canadian Parliament and accused India of assassinating a Khalistani terrorist on Canadian soil. And then, of course, we had similar allegations being made by the United States, saying that they had foiled a plot on the assassination of Vikram Singh Nijjar. Now, obviously, this became a major issue, and it has continued to be an issue. Didn't become as much of a sticking point with the United States as with Canada, perhaps because the US handled it differently and the stakes are higher. But certainly it is an issue that has come to dominate headlines in 2023. Now, one of the things that we on the India Story did talk about is that, look, whatever your views may be on targeted assassinations and what actually happened in Canada and what actually happened in the United States, it is certainly time that countries everywhere, including in places like the US and Canada and the UK, pay some attention to the problems of Khalistani terrorists. The fact that you can't really allow people under the guise of the freedom of speech to threaten Indian diplomats, to attack Indian high commissions and Indian consulates, to threaten to blow up planes, to make threats against the Prime Minister. These are not things that are actually covered by the freedom of speech. And the fact that many countries in the West need to do a lot more to counter this particular issue. It did become a subject of many, many shows that we did, including a trip that we made to London to speak to the Indian High Commissioner out there, who showed us where Khalistani radicals had actually attacked the High Commission. We also spoke to moderate Sikhs who said that they felt threatened by Khalistani gangs who were coming, making threats to them, threatening to attack their families. Yes, so we did cover all of that, and we also expressed our own views on this subject in no uncertain terms. This entire situation isn't going away anytime soon, and there are some indications that further escalations could take place, like India potentially taking Canada to international bodies for supporting terrorism. That could be on the cards. Now, why is all of this happening? Look at the state of the world. The war in Ukraine, the war between Israel and Gaza, the threat of Chinese aggression in East Asia, the emergence of a powerful anti-Western axis between China, Russia and Iran. The last thing that the West probably wanted was a major crisis with India, thanks to a still unsubstantiated allegation made by this man, Justin Trudeau. It's frankly not what India wanted either, but I can tell you one thing. I strongly doubt that India will be ready or able to blink on this issue. And that's probably something that the West should keep in mind. Why, you ask? But actually, that question was repeatedly asked to me on a recent trip to the United States, including by many seasoned India watchers. They were all somewhat surprised by the very hardline Indian response to Canada. And this is what I told them. I told them it's not about Nijjar. It's about the attitude of countries like Canada to terrorists who target India and Indian interests. And that includes Indian diplomats. Look, terror is a red line for India. It is a red line for many countries around the world. I mean, look at the way that America and most countries in the West are responding to the Hamas terror attack on Israel. That includes Justin Trudeau, by the way. Take a look at his reaction. They all say Israel has a right to defend itself against terror. That's why they are supporting the strikes on Gaza, strikes that have killed thousands and thousands of civilians. It's terror, they say. It must be dealt with. It was the same stance when it came to Afghanistan, to Syria, to ISIS, to Iraq. You get the picture. Now, India asks, and has been asking for a long time, where do those principles go when it comes to terror that targets India? Now, it has to be said that the West has finally become sensitive to Islamist or jihadi terrorism that targets India. Groups like the Lashkar-e-Toiba or Jaish-e-Mohammed, they have been referred to, even in recent statements by American leaders, for example, they're talking about the Lashkar-e-Toiba and groups like that. And that may well be because jihadi terrorism affects the West as well. But let's not forget, there are other forms of terror too. And let's talk directly about Khalistani terrorism. A lot of people died as a result of Khalistani terror. 20,000, 22,000, something like that, in the 80s and 90s. A lot of people died. And yes, it is a big deal in India, including in the Punjab. You can imagine how much it angers Indians when people seek to revive that, especially when those people aren't even in India. They are stirring up trouble in India from safe havens and comfortable homes in places like Canada or the UK or the US for that matter. Punjab itself, you must remember, is peaceful. No one wants Khalistan there. No one wants a return to those bad days of terrorism and violence. These are outsiders seeking to restart that bloodshed all over again. No wonder there is such a strong Indian reaction when countries like Canada just turn a blind eye to that terrorism. And it's not just today. It's been happening for 40 years. This particular location has actually become a symbol of pride for Indians. That flag, that's where they came and they attacked. And then you put that giant flag up there. It must have been a rather traumatic couple of days, or what happened?
Well, yes, we certainly have had better days. Certainly seen less stressful days than that. This was on a Sunday. As it happened, we were coming into the office anyway, my colleagues and I got a frantic phone call saying, don't come in immediately, there's a crisis happening immediately. And I suppose our security guys were worried that it shouldn't get worse with the attack upon the High Commissioner's car or on me personally. But what happened that day was that there was a group of about 25 or 30 people who came, and obviously it had been pre-planned. They had cameras and so on and so forth, and they scaled the balcony and were in the process of lowering the flag and trying to hand it over to their crew to desecrate it and to put up a Khalistani flag. And our security guys climbed into the balcony. And
he actually came out and grabbed it back, which is a brave guy. I'd love to meet him and shake his hand at some point.
Well, you can only shake one hand because they managed to break his other arm in 3 places.
Did they?
Yeah, with lathis, which they were using from here. So, when they said there were minor injuries, it was, in the larger scheme of things, but he did have 3 fractures on his arm.
आजा बाहर आजा 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 खालिस्तानी आगे आजा बाहर आजा बाहर आजा बाहर आना मत हमला हो गया call police please call police.
Well, bullying and intimidation can of course take different types. Somebody who's really been facing it far more directly, Hardeep Singh, who's here with us, and his wife Khushi. These are parts where the Indian community is, and the Sikh community are, and others are. He's been speaking out very vociferously against Khalistan, as is she, and they've had to pay some price. They've had multiple attacks. How many attacks have you had?
Total 4 attacks.
And they've come and they've tried to attack this particular restaurant where I'm sitting. Just tell us a little bit about what's been happening with you.
I posted first video as my daughter asked me questions after seeing a lot of things happening online about Khalistan, and their Khalistanis are doing a lot of referendum and burning Indian flags and attacking Indian embassies, high commissioners all over the world. So she asked me a question, Ted, what's happening? So I told her this Khalistan movement was there in India way back, 40 years back. It was dried down, but right now they wake up again from other countries, all these people who want Khalistan, like in Canada, England, Australia. They wanted a separate city or separate land in India called Khalistan. And my question to them is, if you want Khalistan, you go back and fight. You war there. Why are you fighting here? You will fight here. You will raise your voice here. Then,
because there's not much resonance in India. There's no resonance in Punjab. Amritpal Singh was arrested, taken away, hardly been any protest. So that it seems to be more resonance here.
Yeah.
So you came out and you spoke about that.
Yeah.
Then what happened?
I spoke about that. If you want, go back and ask for your rights. If things right, ask there, because you're speaking aloud. And innocent Sikhs will be killed back in India. Because you're here, nobody can touch you. But if sentiments go wrong, they will be killed, like what happened in 1984. That was a true fact. And they got agitated with this. That video went viral for 2 million views in 2 days. And I start getting calls, take the video down, otherwise they'll kill you. They start trolling me, my family, putting my wife's photo, my daughter's photo online, body shaming, rape threats, and calling me every day, take out the video, otherwise we will kill you. I took it lightly initially. But after some days, some 5 guys came in my restaurant and they attacked my restaurant with Khalistan Zindabad slogan and asked my guests to bring them a guest out from the restaurants.